Hi everyone, welcome. My name's Liz. In about 90 seconds, 2 minutes or so, we're going to be beginning our online meditation here on Instagram Live. And just to let you know that all these classes that we're recording right now for Yogaground, you can also always visit our YouTube page. For the next week, we still have all of our classes on our YouTube page as well. And this class will be up for the next 24 hours in the stories section on Instagram. So we just come on live a little bit early just to gather our group, our community together. This is day 3 of our meditation cycle. And we'll also do another meditation cycle class, our 4th session tomorrow at 5 o'clock in Rotterdam, and then on Saturday at 10 a.m. And I'm excited about this building up towards Saturday morning, because every day I'm increasing the length of our meditation by 2 minutes. And so today is a 16-minute seated meditation. And by Saturday, it's going to be 20 minutes. But it's going to feel easier. So if you've been joining us for the last couple days and you have any questions or you want to share anything about how this practice has impacted you in the last couple days, feel free to type in and give us some feedback. I'm always curious. And of course, missing our students, so it's always nice to hear from you. Thank you very much to the people who have been writing in and asking questions and stuff. Shall we begin? Great. So welcome, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of our meditation cycle. My name's Liz, and we're here in the beautiful Verhava studios of Yogaground in Rotterdam. And today's meditation, every day in this cycle, so we're going to be doing 5 in this cycle of meditation, and every day we build on what we learned the day before. So really, a lot of meditation, there's so many different schools of meditation and ways that you can meditate. But what I think it kind of boils down to in essence is taking time to just be still in yourself. In a very busy world, it's so important to be still in the self and to take that private time just to be with that personal experience of who you are deep down. And so the nicest way to sort of begin is to start by thinking about the body, because that's what we can feel the most. You know, you can feel your body and feel through the body, and then we just peel back layers of our experience. We could start with feeling through the body, and then we go into feeling a little bit the breath. And then we go in a little bit deeper how the body feels energetically, how the energy feels in the body. And somebody gave me feedback this week that I thought was amazing, because I said, I kind of feel energy in my body almost like an air that moves in my body, like my breath. And this friend of mine said she feels like the blood flowing in her body is how she experiences that energy or movement. So everybody experiences these stages differently. But we start with the body, we go in deeper into the breath, deeper into the energy. And then we go even a layer deeper into the mind, the emotions, the 5 senses. And then we go even deeper into the sense of who am I? Who am I to be observing all this stuff in my body? We're kind of taking another step back. And then we go into real meditation where we start to tap into something that it's very difficult to describe in language, and everyone will have their own individual experience. But what we hope to do in meditation is just touch it. Just touch that little bit of magic, that place of stillness or truth or quiet or calm that is our true nature. So this is how it's described in the Yoga Sutras, that the purpose of yoga is to still the movements of the mind so that we can become witnesses and live in our own true nature. We can abide in our own true nature, that nature of stillness and quiet. And what I'm offering every day in these meditations, I hope, is little anchors, little practices to help us find that inner peace, that inner stillness within. And there's so many ways in. And so get yourself comfortable. You might sit the way I'm sitting in Virasana. You might choose to sit cross-legged. And my advice is always to prop yourself up. This is my favorite meditation cushion. But if I'm doing a longer meditation at home, I've got about 5 of these, so you can really prop yourself up quite tall. So let's take a moment now just to get physically comfortable in the body. You might want to twist the spine a little, just get a little movement through the spine. Anything that you need to make yourself a little more just aware of how you're feeling in the body, that sense of going into the body. And then rest your hands however you'd like to. They might be on the legs somewhere. You might choose to place the hands in the lap. And then look down. Just look down to the floor and let the eyelids soften. There are meditation practices that people do with their eyes open, and that's always an option. But you might have an instinct now just to let the eyelids gently close. And soften your whole face. Soften the shoulders. Soften the skin around the armpits and let your elbows hang heavy. Soften the rib cage and the lungs. And then can you feel your own heartbeat? Can you feel your own heartbeat? And how does that feel to watch the heartbeat or to feel through the heartbeat? And travel down to the bottom of the rib cage where the diaphragm attaches around the ribs, and notice how the bottom ribs move with the breath. And as you breathe, you might notice how the rib cage swells on the breath in and comes back in on the breath out. Bring your awareness down to the belly. And let's take some time today to really soften through the belly. Really soften down through the belly. And you might think of your organs, your stomach, your liver, your kidneys, all your intestines, all of those organs just softening now. Soften the lower belly, all the viscera, all that stuff inside the hips and the hip bones. And then become aware of your seat, of your bum. And then the legs and the knees and the feet. And let the bottom half of your body, from the waist down, from the navel down, really sink heavy towards the floor, towards the earth. That idea in the Yoga Sutras that yoga allows us to rest or to live in our own true nature. What about just living in the body right now? Can you feel your body? And how does it feel to really be here in this body? In this body. And as you focus on the body's experience right now, what comes up for you? Is there anywhere where you're holding tension that you could release? And then please find the length of the spine. Find the length of the spine so that you're opening up to allow the energy to flow in your body. So that the body stays rested and yet still open to new experience of the self. Please bring your awareness down to the pelvic floor. No need to do anything special, just the mind focusing down on the pelvic floor, the space between the sitting bones. And then with your mind, draw a line up from the pelvic floor to the center of the lower belly or lower back area, center of the hips. And then from the very center of the hips, can you draw that line further up to the center of the diaphragm? And then to the center of the chest, like there's a line that's drawing up all the way from the pelvic floor up to the space between the two lungs. Draw your awareness now to the space in the center of the throat, all the way up to the space behind the eyes, in the center of the brain. And from the center of the brain all the way up to the crown of the head. And can you lift the crown of the head? Not with tension or with muscular effort, just a thought of that bright line from the pelvic floor lifting all the way up to the crown of the head. And how does that feel? And then in your own time, in your own way, follow that line back down from the top of the head, right down through the center of the body, in front of the spine, back down to the pelvic floor. And then from the pelvic floor again, that space between the sitting bones, the tailbone and the pubic bone. Draw that line back up. You might experience this line like just a little instinctive feeling. It might feel like a light or a brightness, or it might feel like something that's simply in the imagination that gives you something to think about. So however you experience this, from the pelvic floor, draw that line all the way back up to the crown of the head. And when you get up to the crown of the head, imagine the space above the crown of the head. And can you feel the space above the crown of the head? And what is over top of you right now? How does that line of energy open up at the crown of the head and become something that's unique to you? And maybe from this space overhead, I always think of it as a little bright rain cloud. Like those days when it's really bright and sunny outside and yet raining at the same time. Can you have a little rain shower on top of you? That is a little shower of love or of comfort, like a hug from a good friend. And let that shimmering light or that cleansing water, however you experience, let that little shimmering shower come down onto you, that little bit of grace that supports you here in your meditation. And let go of that thought of that little shower of love coming down on you. And draw that line back down again, crown of head, center of brain, center of throat, center of heart, center of diaphragm, center of lower belly, center of pelvic floor, back down to how heavy and relaxed and spread out your bum is on whatever you're sitting here in this body. Now please begin to focus on the breath. And you might notice that some breaths are short and some are long. And just as you watch the breath here, you might realize that just by watching the breath becomes smoother and longer. And over time, you might realize that the inhales and the exhales even out and become more or less the same length. But there's no reason to struggle to create that. We're just observing the breath. Where do you feel the breath the most in your body? And as you focus on the breath, can you relax all effort in breathing? So that instead of feeling like I am breathing, instead it's a situation where I am watching this body breathe. So that we take a step back and we just witness whatever is happening with the breath. Notice the movements of the breath in the belly. Notice the movements of the breath in the rib cage. Maybe you feel the movements of the bones of the ribs. You might feel the movement of your diaphragm as it moves down towards the hips on the breath in and floats like a cloud back up on the breath out. Notice the right lung. Notice the left lung. Notice the sides of the lungs. Notice the back of your lungs. And now please notice the space between the lungs and the center of the chest. And this is the center of the heart space. And with your mind, please place a little ball of light between the two lungs and the center of the chest. So that every time you breathe in, that little ball of light gets a little brighter in the center of the chest. And every time you breathe out, that light softens and comes back into you. And how does it feel to have that ball of light in the center of your chest? Every time we breathe in, that ball of light in the center of the chest gets a little bit bigger, a little bit brighter. And can you let that heart light radiate bigger and bigger with every breath in? Maybe now that heart light is filling the whole rib cage. Every time you breathe out, there's a great release, a letting go as the heart rests. Now, as you breathe here and focus on the center of the chest, radiating light outwards. Perhaps that light has grown so big, so bright, that actually begins to move outside of your physical body. So that your ball of light from the center of the heart space starts to cover the back and the arms and the space in front of you. It comes up into your head, down to your hips. How bright is that ball of light in the center of your heart? Maybe that ball of light in the center of the heart grows so big that there's now two balls. There's the little ball of light in the center of the chest, your first ball. But then there's a huge ball of light that you're floating in. So that you breathe in and you send out this light from the center of the chest outward towards this larger ball that surrounds your body. And when you rest in those moments of exhale, that larger ball of light sends light back down into the center of your chest. And then how does it feel to be here, mind totally absorbed in this heart space light that radiates out? We offer that light out to brighten and go out on the inhale. And then from that outer ball, that huge ball of light around us, we exhale and we receive that light back into the heart. And if this image, if this point of concentration in the heart space serves you, then you can stay with this practice. And we'll meditate together in silence. If your focus has drifted, bring it back to that space in the center of the chest between the lungs, the energetic heart center. And let all that light that you've given out, that you've received, come back into the heart. And let the heart rest and feel safe and protected within the rib cage. And then draw your awareness down from the center of the heart to the center of your diaphragm, center of the hips, back down to the pelvic floor and whatever you're sitting on. The heaviness of the legs. And then feel your whole body. Feel your whole body. Now please drop the chin down to the top of the chest. And slowly open the eyes. The first thing you see when you open your eyes is the ground underneath you. That is always there to support you. And then slowly look up. And so thank you very much. Hari Om Tat Sat. And I hope this meditation has served you. Well done.